Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're watching this, you're probably wondering what the heck just happened to crypto over the weekend. And trust me, we need to talk about this because what I'm about to share with you is going to blow your mind. So right off the bat, yes, crypto is still bleeding red as we speak. But here's the thing that's keeping me up at night. We're heading into Monday. And when that stock market bell rings tomorrow morning, that's when we'll really know if we're looking at a quick dip or something much bigger. Wait, what actually went down on Friday? All right, let's rewind and talk about what caused this absolute chaos. You've probably heard about Trump's tariff announcement against China, right? And yeah, that definitely lit the fuse. People immediately started freaking out, thinking, oh great, here we go with another trade war. But guys, I've been digging into this all weekend, and there's something way more sinister going on here. Something that honestly makes me really uncomfortable. We absolutely need to discuss it, and I promise you're going to want to stick around for this. The current damage report. So where are we right now? Bitcoin's hanging around $112,000, which honestly isn't terrible considering what we've been through. Ethereum's sitting at about $3,800, and XRP is holding at roughly $2.40. If you pull up Crypto Bubbles right now and look at those weekly charts, oh my goodness, it's a complete bloodbath. Deep reds everywhere you look. Sure, you've got a few survivors like XLM, HBAR, and XRP, projects that we talk about all the time on this channel. But even these rock-solid projects are down 19 to 20+%. That's absolutely insane. This sell-off is historic. Here's why. Now, let me put this weekend's carnage into perspective for you, because this is where your jaw is going to drop. Remember March 2020 when COVID hit and the entire market just collapsed?
Everyone thought crypto was done for. The bubble finally burst, they screamed. It's just like the dot-com crash all over again. That COVID crash wiped out $1.2 billion in liquidations. Fast forward to the FTX collapse, another moment when everyone declared crypto dead. That disaster? $1.6 billion in liquidations. Now get ready for this. Friday's sell-off? Are you sitting down? $19.3 billion in liquidations. Let that sink in for a second. That's more than 10 times bigger than the FTX collapse. More than 10 times the COVID crash. This is absolutely unprecedented. The leverage massacre that's breaking hearts. And this is where it gets really painful to watch, guys. When you mess around with leverage, this is exactly what happens. It creates this horrible domino effect, a complete cascade of destruction. I spent hours going through the data, and I counted over 1,000 traders who lost more than $100,000 just on Friday alone. And get this, 206 traders lost over $1 million each on Hyperliquid alone. But here's the part that really breaks my heart. 358 accounts got completely wiped out. Zero balance, gone forever, including one trader who lost their entire $19 million account in one day. We're talking about people losing $59 million, $35 million, $20 million. It's absolutely brutal. And it's exactly why I keep telling you guys, leverage is financial suicide. The golden rule I keep preaching. Look, I've been saying this forever, and after seeing this carnage, I'm going to say it even louder. Playing with leverage is like playing Russian roulette with your financial future. Here's the strategy that actually works. Buy spot, hold it. That's literally it. It's not sexy, it's not exciting, but it's the only way to survive in this space long term. Fear has taken over. But is this rock bottom? This crash has pushed serious fear into the market. We're sitting at 31 on the fear index, the lowest we've been since April this year. We haven't quite hit that extreme fear level from April, but man, we're getting dangerously close. What does this tell us? The market is scared. Really, really scared. People are confused. They don't know what's coming next. Everyone's thinking, was it just the tariff announcement? Is the trade war really heating up again? Here comes the bombshell that changes everything. But what if I told you there's way more to this story than anyone realizes? What if I told you this goes so much deeper than just tariffs and trade wars? Here's the bombshell that's going to change how you see this entire crash. This sell-off wasn't random. It wasn't just market panic. This entire crash was orchestrated. Bitcoin analysis. Are we seeing light at the end of the tunnel? Before I dive into that conspiracy, and trust me, it's going to blow your mind, let's quickly check what's happening with our major cryptos right now. Bitcoin's hovering around that $112,000 mark, and if you pull up the daily chart, here's what's got me cautiously optimistic. We're actually starting to build back up. And honestly, that's really encouraging to see after such devastating losses. What I'd absolutely love to see is a nice, smooth recovery push to the upside. If we can reclaim $120,000, that would be absolutely huge for market confidence. But let's be realistic here. What we need more time to really confirm this is the bottom for Bitcoin. Ethereum, the climb ahead. Ethereum's looking pretty decent too, but we've definitely got our work cut out for us. Getting back above $4,000? That's our immediate goal. That's where we start rebuilding confidence. Once we nail that level, then we can start targeting those other key resistance levels we need to flip. Think of it like climbing a mountain, one base camp at a time. XRP, the hidden gem signal. And here's where it gets really interesting. XRP is still looking incredibly solid on both the daily and 7-day charts. Yeah, we've got some recovery work to do, but here's what's got me genuinely excited. XRP has been quietly building something really interesting while everyone was panicking. We're seeing lower timeframe structure with bullish divergence. What does that mean in plain English? It's basically telling us that XRP probably did find its bottom on this recent drop. So what's next for XRP? We should see a pushback above $2.50, then we're targeting $2.70. And that recovery? That's going to signal the start of a much stronger bounce across the entire market. Bitcoin's technical picture, what I'm watching. Let me show you exactly what I'm keeping my eye on with Bitcoin's daily chart, because this is crucial. The RSI has been in a beautiful uptrend since that September 25th low. We're building solid support on this trend line, and guys, I really need to see this hold. This support absolutely cannot break. Here's my game plan. First, we need to reclaim that high from September 24th and 25th, sitting right around $113,400. Once we flip that level, next target is $115.4 thousand. Then we go for the big one, $117.6 thousand. And here's why that last level is so important. It's also a support flip going all the way back to July. If we can flip these 3 levels in sequence, we're on the highway back to $120,000, and we should see a much bigger recovery across the entire crypto market. Tomorrow's market opening, the make or break moment. But here's what's really keeping me on edge, and this is absolutely critical. We really need to watch how the traditional markets open tomorrow morning. The S&P 500? That's going to be my #1 focus, no joke. And look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. We might see a bit more pain before things really start bouncing back. So my advice? Prepare yourself mentally for potentially more red before we get that big recovery everyone's waiting for. The smoking gun. This was all planned. Now, remember when I said this sell-off was orchestrated? Let me absolutely blow your mind with this evidence. Check out this post from Vivek Sen. Someone opened a massive Bitcoin short position just 30 minutes before Trump's tariff announcement. 30 minutes. And they just closed it with, wait for it, $88 million in profit. Oh, and here's the kicker. They opened this trading account today. As in, they created a brand new account just to make this trade. You literally cannot make this stuff up. This is absolutely huge because it proves one thing beyond any doubt. Someone had insider information. Someone knew about this announcement before it went public. The full conspiracy revealed. Bull Theory dropped an incredible analysis about this. Trump just triggered the biggest crypto crash. But here's the question that's haunting me. Was it really Trump? Or was it China? You know what? It doesn't even matter who the main player was, because I'm telling you, multiple people were coordinating this attack. Here's the timeline that should make everyone's blood run cold. 2 days before Trump's Truth Social post, one of Bitcoin's oldest wallets, we're talking ancient whale territory here, suddenly starts opening massive short positions. We're talking billions of dollars in shorts on both Bitcoin and Ethereum. No catalyst, no breaking news, no headlines anywhere. Just silent, massive movements happening on-chain in the shadows. That's red flag #1. Then comes Trump's post. He warns China about massive tariffs, hints at trade war escalation. The market reacts with some nervousness. Sure, we get a small dip, some volatility, but nothing catastrophic yet. People are worried but not panicking. But then, several hours later, that's when the real devastation hit like a tsunami. And by then, those early shorters were already positioned perfectly to profit from the chaos they helped create. What this means for you. So what do we do with this information? First, don't let fear control your decisions. Yes, this was likely a coordinated attack, but that also means it was artificial manipulation, not a fundamental breakdown of crypto. Second, if you're holding spot positions in solid projects, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, this is likely a massive opportunity disguised as a crisis. And third, never forget this lesson about leverage. The people who got completely wiped out, they were playing a rigged game from the start. Coming up next, tomorrow is going to be absolutely crucial for the entire crypto market. I'll be watching every tick of the traditional markets, and I'll have a full update for you as soon as we see how things develop. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell because you do not want to miss what happens next. Breaking update. Trump's nuclear option, 100% tariffs announced. And just when you thought this story couldn't get any crazier, we got hit with the nuclear option. From the White House podium, Trump just officially announced 100% tariffs on all Chinese imports starting November 1st. This was a shock that absolutely no one had priced in. The market apocalypse that followed. Within minutes of that announcement, complete chaos erupted across every market. The S&P 500 absolutely collapsed, falling over 2%, its sharpest single-day drop since April. Bitcoin? It plunged all the way down to $102,000, completely erasing weeks of hard-fought gains in mere minutes. But that was just the beginning. All coins entered complete free fall, and I'm talking about most altcoins dropping 70 to 90% within minutes. This wasn't a correction. This was financial annihilation. The numbers that will make you sick. The liquidation numbers are absolutely staggering. Over $20 to $22 billion in positions got liquidated, but here's the scary part. The real exposure was likely $40 to $50 billion or even more. Nearly $1 trillion in crypto market cap got completely wiped out in less than 3 hours. Let me repeat that. $1 trillion vanished in under 3 hours. That's not just a market crash, that's financial warfare. The smoking gun gets even hotter. And here's where this story takes an even more sinister turn. Remember that whale we talked about earlier? Well, 30 minutes before Trump's official announcement, 30 minutes. That same whale doubled down and increased their short exposure massively. When the market crashed exactly as they predicted, those positions were closed for an estimated $200 million in profit. The timing wasn't just suspicious. It was mathematically impossible without inside information. This goes way deeper than anyone realized. Was this just an incredible coincidence? Or did someone know exactly what was about to happen? Because what followed next proves this was way bigger than one lucky trader. Minutes after that initial crash, it wasn't just retail traders getting destroyed. It looked like a major entity, maybe a huge fund or trading desk, got completely blown out of the water. The crash across large-cap alts wasn't normal market volatility. This felt structural, like a massive institution was forced to unwind billions in positions all at once. Every single exchange saw cascading liquidations happening simultaneously. Even USDC, a supposed stable coin, depegged by 35 to 40%. This was financial nuclear war. This wasn't some retail panic dump. This was a complete leverage cleanse across the entire crypto ecosystem. But here's what's really fascinating about market history. Every bull market has this moment. Every single bull market has a moment exactly like this. A sudden, violent purge that resets all the leverage and clears out all the weak hands who were playing with money they couldn't afford to lose. March 2020 had its moment. Mid-2023 had its devastating shakeout. And now, October 2025 just got its own brutal reset. And here's what history teaches us. These purges don't end bull runs. They actually restart them. Because now, all that dangerous leverage has been completely wiped out. The setup for what comes next. Think about it. Leverage is now completely cleared out. Shorts are massively overextended. And the strong hands? They're quietly buying from all the panicked sellers while everyone else is running for the exits. Trump's tariff threat may have been the trigger that caused this drop. But what follows next is where the real money gets made. The market just flushed out months and months of built-up excess in one massive move. And when this dust finally settles, this crash becomes the foundation for the next major expansion phase. The headlines versus reality. So yes, all the headlines are screaming market crash and crypto is dead. But if you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the fundamental structure didn't actually break. It just got completely reset. The whales have already taken their new entry positions. Retail investors are still panicking and selling everything. And history tells us that's exactly when the next massive leg up begins. The undeniable truth about this crash. Now, I completely agree with everything we've discussed, but here's the absolutely crazy part that I can't get out of my head. This was 100% pre-planned from start to finish. There's absolutely no way you could get this lucky with timing unless you knew exactly what was coming. Being able to close positions for $200 million plus in profit during a market meltdown, when most of the exchanges that would even allow you to trade leverage were completely down and crashed. This had to be a much larger player than we initially thought. This was all calculated and orchestrated from the very beginning. There were no public headlines, no advance announcements that retail could access, but the whales were already completely in the know. This tells us everything we need to know about how these markets really operate behind the scenes. The violent recovery that's coming. Now here's what I'm watching for. A violent recovery that sets the stage for a parabolic rise from this exact moment forward. But how will this actually look in practice? Tomorrow is everything. Well, it all depends on what happens tomorrow morning. Tomorrow is our biggest focus, and it's going to determine the entire direction of this market. If stocks open with a positive net gain and we continue pushing higher to create new all-time highs, then these crypto markets have completely bottomed out, and we should see massive gains across the board. But it all comes down to what happens between China and the US next, because we're getting conflicting signals from multiple sources about how this trade war is really going to play out. This wasn't just a market crash. This was a coordinated financial reset that's setting up the next major bull run phase. The question isn't whether crypto will recover, it's how explosive that recovery is going to be. Stay tuned, because if I'm right about this, we're about to witness one of the most dramatic reversals in crypto history. Breaking. China. Just blinked, game changer? Incoming. Hold up. We've got breaking news that could completely change everything we just talked about. China appears to be softening their stance on the recent rare earth export controls, and this could be the catalyst that turns this entire market crash into the setup for an epic recovery. China's 6-point response that changes everything. Here's what China just announced, and every single point matters. Number 1, they're clarifying that the recent changes are not a full export ban. This is huge because it means supply chains aren't completely cut off. Number 2, applications that meet their regulations will still be approved. So there's still a pathway for business to continue. Number 3, they're willing to engage in deeper dialogue with the US. This is diplomatic language for let's make a deal. Number 4, they're actively looking for global industrial and supply chain stability. Translation, they don't want this to spiral out of control either. Number 5, they're saying the relevant impact of export controls is very limited. They're basically downplaying the severity. And number 6, they're calling this a necessary defensive action, not an aggressive attack. They're giving themselves and Trump room to save face, the critical condition that could explode markets. But here's the kicker. China also added that they will take measures if the US persists in raising tariffs. So they're essentially saying, your move, Trump. De-escalate, and we can work this out. If President Trump responds and de-escalates today, Sunday, markets are absolutely set for a massive jump when they open Monday morning. The reactivity of markets to Trump's posts has been incredibly high, and now we're getting the clarity everyone's been desperately waiting for. Monday could be historic. And guys, if we start seeing this entire situation de-escalate before Monday's market open, we could witness something absolutely spectacular. Stocks could trade significantly higher, and Bitcoin could continue its recovery and break through almost all 3 of those key resistance levels we talked about in a single daily candle. Just like we had that massive drop to the downside. The altcoin explosion that's coming. This would also lead to altcoins like XRP having a much more violent recovery across the board. We're talking about the kind of explosive moves that create generational wealth in just days or weeks. But it all depends on how this geopolitical situation continues to develop today, and then how traditional markets react when they open Monday morning. This was all orchestrated. The evidence is overwhelming. We're watching this situation incredibly closely, but I have to say, I absolutely believe this was all pre-planned from the beginning. I completely agree with bull theory here. There's absolutely no way this level of coordination and timing wasn't orchestrated. This was pure manipulation designed to shake out weak hands and completely reset the market structure, which it did exactly as planned. This entire market has now been reset. Bitcoin's technical indicators on almost all time frames have been completely wiped clean. The technical setup that's making me excited. When we look at this reset compared to the S&P 500, the RSI readings are absolutely incredible. It's crazy to see this kind of complete technical reset happening in real time. Historically, this type of reset typically sets up for a major bounce and an absolutely crazy push to the upside. This is exactly what leads to those legendary blow-off tops, just like we saw from March 2020 all the way through 2021. And we've seen similar patterns in previous cycles too, like the explosive moves in 2023. The Wave 5 structure that could change everything. So I'm expecting this reset to lead to a massive push to the upside that's going to shock everyone. This will most likely coincide with a Wave 5 Elliott wave structure forming on all the major charts, which historically leads to alt season and the eventual top of the entire cycle. This is why you absolutely cannot afford to miss what happens over the next 24 to 48 hours. Tomorrow could be one of the most important days in crypto history. With that being said, I hope you guys absolutely loved this deep dive into what's really happening behind the scenes. If this analysis helped you understand the bigger picture of what we're witnessing, definitely smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on those notification bells. The next few days are going to be absolutely wild, and I'll see you in the next update. Stay strong, stay informed, and remember, the biggest opportunities come disguised as the scariest moments. Catch you in the next one.